This is day 691 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. So if you'd like sponsor or come share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please come me directly. Very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Tov Lamed Aleph, Sif Yud Tes to Sif Chav Hey. Yud Tes. V'chein Risi Machlokes Orim Ba'ira Al Chomet Sheni Yodua. Is Machlokes if one is violates Ba'ira, if wasn't there's Chometz, one has a jurisdiction which one is not aware. There is evidence in both directions. To me, it seems there is no machlekes. Interesting language. There are two levels of chametz sheni yadua. Achas min chametz shadakol achnis b'hem chametz. That's a place where normally you do put chametz. El sheni yadua sheish b'hem atol chametz, but you don't know if there's chametz there now. In that case, you certainly to violate bayra if you find chametz in them. Vashain is the other chametz, places where you don't normally put chametz. Chametz, and happen that chametz is what's to be found there. In that case, you certainly don't violate bayra. Be right to check in a place where you don't normally put in chametz. In fact, the Mishnah says explicitly, any place you don't normally put chametz, you don't have to check. And you certainly don't violate vayira if you find chametz there. So it's like you said before, it's like an oines. You find chametz in a place which you don't normally put chametz in, so now you're not over vayira because it's like an oines. I think that's what it means on that violation. Rashi. Some people bring evidence from Rashi and Davav, somebody who is sailing away or going off in a caravan, the Dailach zone has in mind to come back for Pesach. Has to check even when he goes at the beginning of the year. Rashi says the Chiyadim Pesach over because when he comes back during Pesach, he violates by Yeroy. And that when he comes back on Pesach, it's not in his Rishus. In order to nullify it. Then when you see it, you violate a bayra. Mashma sounds like close much ain't a row. As long as you don't sounds like anytime you don't, as long as you don't see the chametz, ain't no over, you don't violate bayra. To say such a thing. So if you know that there's chametz in your house, over you violate bayra by a matzah, even if you don't see it. So it's about where you left your house. The low bodak you didn't check. You don't know if there's chametz there or not. Therefore, it's not possible for him to violate. Because you don't know. But when you see it, you violate retroactively. When it becomes known to him, he's going to violate by and that. When he knows the chametz he's over, and normally the way you become aware of a chametz is shiras of chametz when you see the chametz. Chen yeshurim raya, those bring evidence. Mitais to sreish perikul shah. The staff chafav b'sach. In shamru bagmar l'chein tzurch l'misin the kol shah shmutar l'chol machlo behema chaya. The Gemara says why is it that as long as you're allowed to eat, you're allowed also to give to your animals to eat? Diash min chaya, because if I would have said that you give your chaya. Mishum the matzlah, because it hides the chametz. Because the place ain't over about mishum ba'yatmin. So even though it hides the chametz, you're not over because your animal. There's no such a of you and your animal hide your chametz. Of nafkulan lo yimatzei. That we learn that from lo yimatzei that chametz should not be found. This is not matzah. It's not found. I think the better translation would be. Prevalent perhaps, but in any event, this is not prevalent. Because you don't know where it is. Rashi calls it the matzna ain't over by Yora. I am Sham. Rashi says also if it hides the chametz, you don't violate by Yora. And infer from this. That's really Rashi also ain't a roa ain't over. If you don't see it, you don't violate by Yora. To me, honey, I'm astonished at this proof. The come marriage, it's about where you check properly. Like Mashal and Arukh HaShulchan, that's near Kedarka. The chiddush is that since you check properly, you don't have to be concerned that maybe this animal now take the chametz you give it and hide it in its normal manner. That's what Pnei also writes this. If it was a psik ratio, it was definite that it was going to go and hide the chametz. But certainly be over by matzah. Akvar Kosatos Matzmam Shom taste themselves right. Sheshchiluk ben Chayil Chulda. There's a difference between stam an animal and a mole. The Chayil Matzmukuli a normal animal doesn't hide so definitely. So if it's like a place where you don't really put chametz, which you don't violate by ra, even the chametz actually is there. Like we wrote on in the previous sif. Chafal, the different languages used in Torah for this prohibition. Parshas HaChodesh, Hazek Siv, in Shmos Yud Beis, it says, Shivas Yomim Solim Motzei V'Teichem. 7 days sourdough shouldn't be found in your house. Upashas Kadesh B'chor and Shmos Yud Gimel, because it says, V'lo Yar'elecha Chametz, Lo Yar'elecha Sor B'Chulecha. You shouldn't see chametz or sourdough in all of your boundaries. Hashnuim Haim, the differences are, She'etz Lo Motzei Ksiv Rak Seor. By Lo Motzei, it only mentions sourdough, V'lo Ksiv L'cha, and it doesn't say for you. Uksiv B'Teichem, and it says also in your houses. Where it talks about Lo Yirah, it talks about Ksiv Chametz Usor. There's both chametz and sourdough. Uksiv l'cha, it says for you. Uksiv l'cha gvucha, it says in all your boundaries. Mainly, chametz usar kol echad. According to halacha, there's no discrepancy, no distinction. Chametz and sourdough are all the same thing. You find two psukim in Torah which begin talking about sourdough and end up talking about leaven. Let's see, it says on the first day you should eliminate sourdough from your house. Because anybody eats chametz the gomer. It says Shivas Yom Yisraelim Matzei V'Teichem. The other pasuk says, and that was the first one, Shmos Yud Beis and Shmos Yud Tes, 7 days Seor Matzei V'Teichem. You shouldn't find any Seor in your houses. Because anybody eats chametz the gomer. So they're interchangeable and have the same halacha. And you need both of them. The chametz lay down in Seor. For chametz, we couldn't derive the prohibition of Seor because sourdough is a starter. In and of itself is not edible. It's a leavening agent. Since it comes to talk about eating, it specifies chametz, not seor. We saw that chametz, and from seor we wouldn't know that it prohibition chametz. It's because sourdough is a leavening agent. It's a very, very strong leavening agent. And it's suitable to use to ferment other doughs. It's supposed to chametz. It's only that dough in and of itself. That's the doshim mechilta. Rashi b'chumisham. Rashi brings down chumisham. Pasuk lo yimatzei v'teichem ayin sham. The time Hashemim near and he was like this. So why the differences between the psukim? In the Gemara we learn out houses from boundaries and boundaries from houses. Plus, it says that the source should not be found in houses. It expounds it there. For the chametz of a non-Jew, that he left as for safekeeping in the hands of a Jew by soki b'lev achayis, and the Jew accepted upon himself to guarantee that chametz. The Jew, since he accepted achayis, so it violates by Rabbi Matzeh and Sham. And therefore it doesn't say l'cha over there. That filu eno shelcha. Even if it's not yours, it doesn't belong to you. It's yours, like yours, because of the chayus you accepted. That's what it says in your house. Because somebody you get an option of safekeeping, you put it in your house in a place which is safeguarded. That's what it says it shouldn't be found, and it doesn't say it shouldn't be seen. Because normally the object for safekeeping, object for safekeeping, the derech is latznio to hide it, but makom shein in your line that nobody should see it, because otherwise be susceptible to theft. And that's why it says sourdough there. Because soor can preserves itself for over a long period of time. So it's something which is subject to being given as a pikadon for safekeeping, as opposed to chametz. The bread which is leavened by the sourdough, which you did in order to eat it, ain't that it goes stale. You're not going to give it as safekeeping in somebody else's hands. As opposed to the sourdough. They shouldn't make the mistake that Isser by Rabbi Matzeh only applies by houses and not by your expanded boundaries. You shouldn't be seen to you in all your boundaries. Meaning, if the chametz belongs to you, also it's forbidden. Not just if it's in your house. A place is in your boundaries, no matter where it is. And also, you can't see your own chametz, but you're allowed to see chametz, which belongs to other people, which is not your achrayus, of course, and it belongs to Kodesh Baruch Hu, meaning that it's hektish. I feel about that can even be in your own house. In loki about achrayus, you didn't accept the achrayus on it. Lamanim mizem because learn each from each other. B'shlotam, I don't say the dafka also tayam milsa. On the other hand, don't say it has to do with specifically seeing it. The hakik blame must say that it says should be found. I feel you can't see but rather it's just within your boundaries. At the over you violate. Within ben chametz and but in terms of the prevalent cases, but in terms of the halacha itself, in other words, the psukim, it's all about what's normal, what's prevalent, how normally these things work. But the din and chiluk ben chametz l'sor in actual practical halacha, the distinction between chametz and sor, between houses and boundaries, it's all the same. And the chametz will be explained later on. The brackets he says with these psukim the Torah explains all the halachas of the prohibition of chametz over emor. That's Shmos Chav Gimel and Lamdalad and Vayikra Chav Gimel. She's Kira Moadim, where it mentions the Yom Tovim. Lo Yechkin Chametz Kal. I didn't have to repeat the concept of Chametz. Rakim Mishul Torah only in Dvarim Shul Chazor Sadinim, where we go back anyway over the halachas, because of the Kitzur B'Sof Rei goes. It says it in brief at the end of Parshas Rei. Lo Chav Lov Chametz Lo Yechal Sor. Don't eat Chametz on the Korban Pesach, and no sor should be seen by you. Vizkir name, it mentions both of them. Isra Chila V'Isra Ba'Yiroeh. And the prohibition of eating, prohibition of seeing, in other words, a very terse but encompassing synopsis. Now, even though the Torah itself comes before lo yireh, nevertheless, Chazal put lo yireh before lo yimatzeh. Because this follows the principle of expressing oneself in a manner of not only this, but even this. Lo yireh, you shouldn't see. Afilu lo yimatzeh, and it shouldn't be found in your area, jurisdiction. Zebiyan b'siyat ishmael kol dinei ba'yiroeh v'duk. This explains all the halachos of ba'yiroeh very succinctly and very, very eloquently. Chav Gimel. Hinei b'sifir ches b'yanu shnei tamim amash etzrichu b'dika. Sifir ches, which is yesterday's Arukh HaShulchan, we learned two reasons for b'dika. Echad shemali bato kroi. The first is that you might not nullify the chametz properly. The second one is that you might come to eat your chametz if you find it. You can't ask the Tom Zeh, according to this reason, why were you specifically concerned about his chametz, not by any other prohibition? No doubt, it's not comparable. The chametz came in the lobedili minekuli shaita. Chametz, you don't separate yourself from it the entire year. So we're particularly concerned. They might come to eat it. And furthermore, they came in the Torah chmir b'chametz laver lo ba'yirah. Since the Torah has this unprecedented chumrah by chametz, this concept of the avera ba'yirah. L'chein chashu chacham is that they were more concerned about this. Yesh nafkim time. There's a difference between the reasons. The tam delubedile, according to the reason that people don't separate from chametz, tzarech livdok gam chametz she'ein ovrim ala ba'yirah. You also have to check for chametz for which you don't violate ba'yirah. Even though you don't violate ba'yirah in it, still you have to check for it. It's called nuksha, such as chametz nuksha, chametz where it started fermenting and then the process was arrested in the middle. The ta'aleves and a mixture of chametz and matzah. Minus filei kain commodities, barbas in tough and beis. According to those opinions, we're going to see in tough and beis the whole that way. Our time is showing ba'yirah, but the reason, according to the reason that the issue is not because you might come to eat it, but because you violate ba'yirah, then ain't certainly v'dok ral chametz shavla ba'yirah. You don't have to check for chametz nuksha ta'areves chametz because you're not over ba'yirah on those. But the Gemara clearly is concerned that you might come to eat it. That's going to daf yud. The dinner there for the primary law is should call me chametz any type of chametz requires b'dika. However, it's possible we're only concerned with the chametz on which you chayiv kares if you eat it. Lo chametz barak labam, and chametz for which you only violate lav which has malchus. which is not a chorus. But maybe Yavamas Loshna Isalav Loshna Isakaris. Hi, Yavamas there's no difference between Isalav and Isakaris. But Pirush Rashi is only in a suffix. As in terms of suffix, the right Sluchum, you have to be Machra both. But when you come to you're distancing yourself from these prohibitions, which is a rabbinic halacha, not a Torah halacha, Shabbat Yishlom, you could say the kolis of the halacha, they made this distancing in a case of Isakaris, will allow not to stam in Isalav. Ein Sham, but Rashi Shbir Shlehed Yokain, and Rashi says this explicitly. Chav Dalet, Amos Yishas Abdikum, when is the time that you check? Shana Chal Chomei Mishnah, Chamin Tot, Orla Ba'asar, and even the 14th day of Nisan, Baikim Misacham Zoner, check Chametz by light of the candle. Pirush Bagmach at time, when it explains the Afagav, the Isa Maschim Chatzayam, Chatzosayam, even though the prohibition only begins the next day at midday, became a Dalet, Shakris, in that case, it would be suffice to check in the morning, early in the morning, fine, because reason Makdim in the mitzvahs, like, because people who are diligent do mitzvahs early. It's what it says. Avram got up early in the morning. It doesn't start the night before. So why you do it at night? Because the light of a candle is very good for checking. Well, according to this, you should be able to check at night anytime you want. Why do we try to do it at the beginning of the night? So because then people are normally at home. Come from their business to home. And it's a good time to set for checking. Or the language of Orla Basar, when there's still a little bit of light outside, at the beginning of the night. But still not during twilight, which is earlier. Some say, then that's Yaakov El Yerabah. Some say, this man B'diko claims it's Chachamim. In fact, the Bachim of Avram say that this man B'diko is actually before it says Chachamim, when it's still a little bit of light from Ben Hashmoshes. The primary opinion is the first opinion, which is that no, it should start specifically after it says. As in Kor Chaim and the Taz and the Ravid himself, and Sefer Tamim Daim. Therefore, about B'tchias Leil Yudalit at the beginning of the night of the 14th, both came as a chametz or an area check the chametz by the light of a candle, but B'chorin was stalking in the holes and in the cracks of chametz, any place where people normally would put chametz. Mr. Bura says, no, not lavdafka. Even the people don't normally put their chametz, but it's a place where people occasionally use chametz, even though it's not all the time. We're afraid that you might put chametz there and not remember, and therefore you have to check there as well.